most of us who are part of the RiverTree family, I don't have to introduce who this is to you. Brother Edwin has been here with us now for, what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, almost?
3 weeks and a few days.
Yeah. But in case you are not aware of who Edwin is and why he is so special to us, this is not like one of those Sundays, if you've been in church before, where some missionary speaks and you don't have any idea who that person is or what organization they represent. This is very different for those of us who call RiverTree home, because we have known Edwin now for, you and I were trying to do this stuff the other day. How long was it? 4 years?
Yeah, almost 5.
Yeah, almost 5. So what I want Edwin to just start with is Edwin is going to briefly, especially for those who don't know the story, he's going to tell you why it is that we have known each other for 5 years now, and how actually our church was instrumental in helping him start what we now know as the Barnabas Project in Uganda. So would you tell us that story briefly, Edwin?
I thank you for this opportunity to speak before my family at RiverTree. Basically, I am here because we are ministry partners in God's kingdom. The Barnabas Project Uganda was started with an aim to support the poor, support the vulnerable, support the people in need in a small village of Busoke, approximately 1 hour drive from Kampala City, which now most of you are aware of. And God called me personally to that village to serve him. God calls us in different ways, but for me, he called me specifically that village to serve him. So that's how the BPU was started. As you know, when God calls you, it is his ministry. It's not a personal ministry. So I also started seeking people who could stand with me, who could also share my vision, who also had similar calling, like what I had to support the poor in their own communities. Fortunately, the Lord led me to RiverTree, and RiverTree to me. So since then, we are the BPU and RiverTree. We are brothers, and it has been a long journey, whereby even if I started to talk now, I can spend a whole day. But that's how it
That's
is.
true.
Yeah.
And if you have the opportunity, which I would encourage you to do, before Edwin leaves on the 25th,
Yep.
right? On the back of your leaflet is information for how you can have dinner or lunch with Edwin, or have him to your grove, your small group. He will tell you the story, because it is a beautiful story that all started with the internet, believe it or not, of how we found each other.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you update some of our folks about what the BPU has done recently, and some of the projects that you have done recently, and more importantly, why. Like, for example, we had the fundraiser yesterday for the poultry project. Help people understand, which, by the way, we're at $600 and counting for how much was raised. So it's $1 a chicken, right? Yeah, so you're talking about lots and lots of chickens that Brother Edwin is going to have soon. But you need to understand why Edwin and those involved in the BPU do what they do. It is all very carefully thought out and very strategic. So explain maybe some of the things you've done recently and why.
Maybe my next time when I'm coming back here, if the immigration allows me, I'll bring a chicken for you. So the BPU, basically, we have been doing a lot of planning, prayerfully planning. The BPU is not, though it's called the Barnabas Project Uganda, but it's not a project. Sometimes projects last 2 years or a week or 5 years. But for us, we are rooted in the community, or we are a grassroots ministry or grassroots organization that won't just last a few years, then it expires. Even if I grow and I get gray hairy like many of you here, but the BPU will continue flourishing. So we have been planning to see that since the BPU is there for many years ahead, generations and generations, we have been basically planning to see how we can sustain the BPU, how we can keep it on moving, basically locally or even internationally. But locally, we have been involved in different small micro-enterprise projects. It has been more of training. It has been more of trying to see how things can be done if implemented on a bigger perspective. We've done the piggery, we've grown some sweet potatoes, we've grown some corn to test and see how this can be able to take us all the years throughout. Now, yesterday, we had the bowling for the birds. That one was basically to also start a poultry project that will be able to raise finances or funds to meet, first priority is to meet our daily needs as the BPU. You may know that for any institution or organization to flourish or to continue moving, it must meet its operational costs. So the BPU is growing, as many of you have been seeing, and we have a lot of operational costs to meet. So the poultry project will be able to help us to meet our daily operations, pay our bills also, though we don't have electricity in Busoke, but we'll be able to meet our daily needs. So the birds will help us to bring income locally so that we can be able to continue moving on with the BPU projects.
Right, so you can see that one of the keys of what Edwin and the others involved in the BPU are doing is they're doing things that are self-sustainable or they're income generating. Outside income. We help, in fact, like our relationship with RiverTree, oftentimes we help Edwin start things that then no longer need any money at all. Okay, so let's talk about what's next. Start with what I think it's already rolling out. Start with the child sponsorship program at the school that you're just starting to do.
Well, child sponsorship. I don't think this is new to us. It has been moving on for many years, not in the BPU, in different organizations, but now the BPU, as we have said, we have been planning a lot to see how we can continue sustaining, empowering, and supporting these people in the community. The child sponsorship program is basically to create an opportunity for these poor children in Busoke village access education. Child sponsorship will also be another avenue of supporting the school that you guys with us helped to start. You'll find that these children lack basic needs, shoes, clothing, education. So the child sponsorship basically is meant once again to help these children receive education. And when they receive education, obviously, they will be able to have a bright future. In Uganda, we have a saying that education is the key to success. Hopefully, it is also in the USA. So the child sponsorship is now that is moving on, and it's one of our short-term goals so that we have as many children sponsored and fully embracing it.
Tell them how many children are at the school right now currently.
Currently, we have 120 children out of over 1,200 children in the community.
Right. In Busoke, the average family has 5 kids, right? No. 4?
7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born. Our family has 8 children. My mother gave birth to 8 children. So in Africa, we still have people giving birth to many children.
Heather did not want to have that many kids. Now, here's why. So Edwin mentioned like school supplies and shoes and things. He also mentioned nutrition the other day when we were talking about this. The typical family in Busoke eats 1 once a day, right? They
Yep.
eat once a day in the evening. Part of what he's trying to do through this is provide the other two meals for the kids while they're at the school, correct? Yeah. You can imagine, right? How can a kid get a good education if it's 2 in the afternoon of the next day and the last time they ate was dinner of the previous day? Extremely difficult. So why don't you talk just for a minute about the cost, what we're thinking the cost will be of to the child sponsorship.
Child sponsorship in total will be $206 per year. For the starting month, it will be $41. $41. The breakdown is we'll be able to purchase a mattress for the children. These are children who don't have where to sleep. They just sleep on clothes, down on the ground. So we'll have a mattress purchased. We'll have shoes. Many of them don't have shoes, as you have been seeing in the different pictures. We'll be able to purchase for them mosquito nets. In Africa, the number one killer disease is malaria. Even my child a few days ago was suffering from malaria. So I know what it means, and that's why we would love to have a mosquito net to see that these children continue not suffering from malaria. Then, apart from that, the monthly cost will be $15. On the $15, we'll have what we'd call like tuition. We'll have to purchase school books or supplies for the child, pens, pencils. We'll have also a meal, as Pastor has said. These are children who eat once in a day. They eat at 3 p.m. So they balance the equation. Breakfast they don't eat, lunch they don't eat. So to balance that, they have one meal at 3, so that evening and dinner 50-50. So when they're at school, we'll be able to provide them breakfast and lunch. Then when they go back home, then they can add on their dinner. Then they have like 3 meals per day. So the $15, that's how it will be spread out per month. But in total, it will be $206.
We are still working out the logistics of how to get the money from here, whoever it is in the United States that would like to sponsor a child or elsewhere in the world. We're still working on how to route the money to get it to the BPU. It's complicated. But this has already started, and we already have, what, about a dozen, 14 people, right?
I think we have like 14 people.
Yep.
And I think 10 from here.
So what we want to do before Edwin leaves is give you the opportunity, if you're interested in this, you can talk to Edwin more about it. And what myself and Brian Pickett and some others are going to do is we're working on the logistical part of how to actually make this work. But if you really want to do this, if this is really something close to your heart and you would love to do this for the meager cost of $206 a year, talk to Edwin between today, or he'll be here next Sunday, or before he goes, and Edwin would love to tell you more about it. Take just a minute and do what we were doing the other day at lunch. Talk about some of the future projects that you hope the BPU can do in Basoke, things that are maybe 3 years or 5 years or 10 years away in the future.
Yeah, thank you. As you know, that the BPU is in Basoke for generations. We have many short-term and long-term goals that we'd love to achieve. Amongst them is we'd love to build a school. Many of you have seen the school. It's in temporary structures, whereby even now when it rains, the storms enter the classes, which weakens them. Before I came here, most of the poles that support the structure were attacked heavily. It was like a military coup by ants. Maybe you guys call it termites?
Yes, yeah, we have termites,
like
yep.
Yeah. So, time and again, those termites are working against us to see that they break down our structures. But we also have an option of, in future, building a school which will last for generations and generations, whereby some of your children also plan to continue expanding on our property gradually. We'd love to purchase like 1 or 2 acres of land so that we can be able to have the children play, at least have like a sports ground. We are planning to also start a secondary school. That's a little bit longer from now, but it's always good to have a vision. When these students finish primary school, so that they can be able to enroll in secondary. Otherwise, we will not have done anything, giving them the primary education and they stop there. So we plan that after some years, they can be able to go to secondary school.
Right now, they only have a primary school and it ends
At grade 5.
So right now, when a child finishes, there's nothing else for them in Busoke. So Edwin is talking about the next step that they want to put in place.
We also plan to have a community health center, not a big hospital, just something small that can be able to cater for people's health care needs. The nearest health center is a little bit far. These are people who don't have bicycles. If you have bicycles, many of them don't have cars. And I think it's always my car that goes there, and a few others. But they walk long distances to access health care. So since the BPU is there to extend God's love to this community, it's our responsibility to see that we, in the future at least, provide these services to the people like the health care. God's love is always both physical and spiritual. So the physical part of it is, these are some of the things we'd love to achieve.
Will you take a minute, Edwin, and tell us, just tell us a story about someone in the Busoke community that has really been touched by God's love or changed by the work and ministry of the BPU. Can you think of a specific person and a specific story?
Yeah. Obviously, there are very many people, but let me talk about one gentleman who is just the closest to the BPU, who is called Mr. Kulumba, and his family. Since they came or they got in touch with the BPU, in fact, these are our immediate neighbors. A lot has changed into their family. They had been undergoing several challenges in life. The BPU does not only provide micro enterprise or the school. We have much more as we do, like to encourage people. I think let me just talk more about that. They have been going through hard times in their life, and even we couldn't meet their needs. But just praying with them, encouraging them, fellowshipping with them, as in their family, has really transformed them. And you can see now that they see that their family has a future. Their family is now fully involved in the BPU, initially which wasn't. So his family and many other families in the community, there's a lot of transformation that has gone through their lives by the BPU. The BPU in the community, basically, on a spiritual perspective, is there to pray with the people, to show them that everything will only be done when they believe and trust in God. So many of them have had their faith, they have grown their faith. Not only them have they grown their faith, but even me, I've also learned how to fully believe and trust in God, to have big faith. Because as we have had the plans that we have for the BPU, short term and long term, these are the things that I myself can't just do. When I went to soccer, I thought that maybe the little funds I had, I would be able to create impact, because I liked things there and then to grow and people get well off, but that's not the way God works. God wants us to fully trust and believe in Him, then He can fully extend His love to us all.
Edwin and I, when we had lunch this week, we talked about that, and I I hope you find that as encouraging and challenging as I do. Edwin, to me, is an example of somebody who lives by faith in a way that I don't always do. And I hope that you hear that in Edwin. And in a way, he is an example to us to learn how to do that. So you've been doing this now for about 5 years. Tell us what you've learned. What has surprised you about this? What did you not know when you started it that now you understand a lot more, or you see differently?
Just adding on what I just spoke a little few minutes ago, I myself have grown. I have now lots of faith. Before that, I used to think I could do anything or all the things I by myself. But through the BPU, I have learned to prioritize what is important and what is not important. Like anything I get now in my life, I feel that before anything, I think that, oh, half of it has to go to the BPU, or maybe 3/4, and I get like a quarter.
Right.
So I myself I'm part of the transformation, them transforming others. And I used to think that things would be so simple. I used to think that this would be maybe a short-term thing, and the law would work it out, and people get empowered there and then. But I have learned that when you are serving God, you have to be patient. You have to be a prayer person, because that's how the way you communicate to God and listen to what God is telling you exactly. Faith is also one of the big things I have learned, and I've also learned to serve others wholeheartedly, not 50-50, and that's what the Lord is calling us to do for His kingdom, and to genuinely love others. Sometimes you may go to Busoke, you reach in a family, and because we are human beings, may think, I think I'm not worthy to step or to go into that house. Have you ever felt that you are not, because of your status, you're not fit to maybe sit in a certain old car, or you're not supposed to go in a certain dirty house? So I have learned to lower myself from high to down so that I can be able to serve others.
There's so many things that I just love about Edwin and what he just said. Here's the big one. These are not just words. He lives this every day, every week. I think you could hear ideas like that talked about in church all the time. But you're hearing them from somebody who, to the best of his ability, lives by those principles every week, every month, as he does what God has called him to do. Thank you for your example. It is a great one to follow. We want to give you a couple of minutes here at the end of this interview to maybe ask a question or two of Edwin. These are the questions that we thought of when we prepared for this Sunday, but I'm sure you might want to ask him a question to follow up on this. You may want to ask him about his taste in music. I hear that he loves 80s music like Chris Vesno.
Yeah.
Jeff, you're close, or Tim, either one. We have time for a question or two. If you'd like to ask Edwin anything more, why don't you raise your hand so Jeff can see you, and then we'll go.
Hi.
Is that handheld on, bud? Okay. Yeah, there we go. We're good. Thanks, Candace.
I'm just wondering how you yourself sustain you and your wife and your child.
You mean financially,
Yes.
Candace? Okay.
Thank you so much. I myself have a small business consultancy that does projects and business down in Kampala that has been sustaining me, I myself and my family, and also sustaining the BPU. I and my wife, before I married my wife, because you may say 5 years or 6 years, you hadn't married your wife, so why do you say 5 years or 6 years? So I was close to my wife 6 years ago because I dated her for 9 years. So we used to do things together. I told her that I know I'm going to get married to you, but this is what God is telling me to serve Him. And ministry is all about commitment. There's a lot of input, there's a lot of things you have to forego to see that the ministry grows before some other people become part and partial. Because there's no one who can stand support you when yourself you're not supporting what you have started. So I told her 70% of our income will be going to the Barnabas project. Are you ready to marry me or not? So she said, oh yeah, I also love God and I would love that to happen. Because she also feels the same way. So she accepted that. Unfortunately, or unfortunately, 5 years are elapsing this year. So, but that's how we have been supporting the BPU and I myself. I decided to live not live an extraordinary or luxurious type of life. Like I told you, I sold my car, so I always move in taxis, buses in Kampala. You sit 4 or 5 on seat. But because I'm serving God, I know the Lord at one time will bless me. So that's how I've been sustaining myself. It's not good, but I try to live in any normal means as a servant of God.
And remember that recently, in fact, it's been about 3 months now. You know, if you're a part of our church family here, that we try to keep our expenses as a church very low so that we always have extra money left over at the end of the month, and that's money that you guys use to actually love your neighbors. Well, for 3 months now, we have made the decision as a church that 10% of that leftover money will go to Edwin and Doreen and Becky, and that will be part of how they are cared for personally in Uganda too. So
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
well, you can tell why, right? I mean, it's not a hard decision. We love Edwin, and we support what Edwin is doing, and he is. You will learn more from Edwin, and he will affect you far more than I think we will ever affect him. This is not about us supporting him. This is about him changing us. And I think if you get to know him and listen to him, you can see that. Okay, maybe one more question. Jeff, where are you with the mic? You around?
Welcome, Edwin.
Oh, there we go. Dan,
Yep.
There we go.
You mentioned you were trying sweet potatoes and corn and other things. Can you talk a little bit more about the plans for maybe producing farming, like other produce, or what seems to be working and what doesn't, to help them sustain the village more? Just the farming in itself.
You'll correct me, right, if I have not heard well your question. We are trying to, the past times we have been trying to venture into different things to see what will work best for us. Even you, or many of you have children, I always give that example. When a child is growing, how many of us have our children, at least I have a child also, have grown up in the right way and they didn't fall? So we have tried different things to see what will work best for us. We have done some small trainings. We have ventured into corn, and we see, oh, this is something good that will help provide food for the children, the teachers, and at school. So we have opened, some of the things will be coming automatically. We'll be venturing when we have the opportunity and capacity, like farming. In Uganda, we entirely live on agriculture. That's our main export. There's no way we can not do without it. And since we have many people to the BPU and the children, food will always be a very good source to support us. So we have ventured into corn. I think we harvested like almost like 800 kilograms. I don't know how to turn that into pounds. And we've grown a lot of sweet potatoes. So we'll be able to sell a little of those, but most of them will support us, the BPU. We have teachers, we have to feed them, breakfast, lunch, and evening. So agriculture is also a way to go to support us.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember us saying at lunch this last week, part of why they want to get more land, right, is to be able in the future to farm. Right now they're only on, am I remembering right, it's 2 acres, right? So there's only so much that you can do on 2 acres when a school is part of those 2 acres. So right now, to have more capacity to farm, they just need more land, and that's part of the long-term plan. Okay, I know we could talk to Edwin and about Edwin all day. What I'm going to encourage you to do is, Edwin's here with us for another 10 days or so. This is why you need to have him in your home, or take him to lunch, or take him putt-putt golfing, which he's already done, or take him on a ship on Lake Michigan, which somebody has done, and all that kind of stuff. Edwin, a boat. Okay, sorry, right, a boat. A yacht, I don't know, a dinghy.
Wow.
He'll be here. There's an email address in the announcement on the back of your leaflet. Brian Pickett's email. Brian is taking care of the schedule. This is why you need to talk to Edwin. So have him over. He's great company. He is a great person to spend time with. I hope that you do that. So would you thank Edwin for doing this? Thank you, brother.
Thank you for hosting me.